What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism. So, let's talk about another fight that happened over the weekend, which was Tszyu versus Murtazaliev, if that's how you correctly pronounce his name. So, yeah, this was another fight that, in terms of action, it certainly did not disappoint. As Murtazaliev takes out Tszyu within 3 rounds. And this is one of those where I think a lot of people would have been favoring Tszyu to win this fight. He's coming off of the loss against Fundora where he was cut, very badly cut. And it was one of these things where he could have been pulled out by his corner, if they were quite sensible about it, because the cut was bad. It was never going to get better. But anyway, going into this fight, he was probably the favorite because he's the more known fighter. But he really did get a severe beating here. Murtazaliev, I've not seen much of him, but from what I knew, going in, he's a volume puncher, very hard puncher. I mean, and in this fight, where it all went wrong for Tszyu was him sort of squaring up, and the first knockdown I believe was with a very very good left hook by Murtazaliev, where Tszyu was coming forward. He's the shorter guy, so obviously if you're the shorter guy, you've got to come forward. You've got to try and impose yourself on the bigger guy, and you've got to try and get inside of the guy's reach and do your damage up close and personal. And his last opponent was even taller than Murtazaliev. But yeah, Murtazaliev, huge guy. And Tszyu was doing his thing, coming in, loading up with power shots, landing the big right hand and everything. But he didn't really seem to be doing too much damage on Murtazaliev. I mean, you could see some of these big right hands connecting, and Tszyu was looking very confident. But in that third round, as Tszyu tried to come in, he leaned forward with his head, and as he was in the middle of trying to throw a punch, Murtazaliev catches him while his head's in that position where he's trying to throw a punch, and he's kind of squared up. His head's right there in front of Murtazaliev, and then bang! As Tszyu tries to throw a punch, Murtazaliev throws the left hook, and down goes Tszyu, and you could tell he was seriously wobbled, seriously hurt, but he done this thing that a lot of boxers do, which is get up straight away. So, he gets up at about the count of four, and you could tell he was still shaking, he was still wobbly, his legs weren't quite under him. So, what he really needs to do was probably stay down a few more seconds and try to get his legs back a little bit. Don't just jump straight back up, because obviously Murtazaliev, and as what happened, Murtazaliev, Tszyu gets up about the count of four, gets up quick, and that warrior instinct within him, he's trying to fight on, and but again, a lot of the times throwing punches, he's square on, and he's right in the wheelhouse of Murtazaliev, and Murtazaliev again puts him down, and that's the second knockdown, because again Tszyu's in there, he's hurt, he's all over the place, and he's coming in square loads and loads of times, and so as the fight carried on, I think there was even another knockdown again towards the end of the second round, where Tszyu, to his credit, gets up again, and I mean, the referee really would have been well within his rights to even stop in the second round, because that knockdown right at the end of the second round, I mean, you could easily have just ended the fight there and said, that's it, Tszyu's had enough, and you'd be justified in doing so. But the referee allowed it to continue, and the fight goes on into the third round. And of course, again, Tszyu is trying to throw power shots. He's still coming forward. He's not acknowledging that he's hurt at all. He's just simply going for it. He's going on as if he's not hurt, and he's still trying to march forward, land power shots on Murtazaliev. Murtazaliev once again skillfully counters him, and Tszyu goes from one side of the ring to the other, and is just taking a continual pummeling by Murtazaliev. until eventually the Tszyu corner throws in a towel into the third round, and that was it. That was all she wrote, because it was only going to end up in, Tszyu being knocked unconscious, because that third round he was just knocked all over the shop, all over the place, and he was in no position to continue. To his credit, he sort of stayed on his feet, but yeah, you could tell he was just completely out of it. And yeah, very, very good performance by Murtazaliev. He was very active. He was, punches in bunches, lots of combinations, and he's a very, very good fighter. He's a fighter, as I say, I didn't know really much about before. This was like my proper introduction to him, and I will say, very good fighter. It's an exciting division, 154 pound, the light middleweight division, or super welterweight. Very exciting, and there's so many fights out there. You got Virgil Ortiz, guys like that. You got Madrimov, and I mean, the list is endless of fights that could be made now for Murtazaliev. So yeah, congratulations to Murtazaliev. A bit of disappointment there for Tszyu, but at the end of the day, he got caught with a good shot by a puncher. He kind of squared up and sort of leaned into the punch, which made it worse. And it's one of those that from that first knockdown, he was never really gonna win the fight. Not because he was aggressive. He wasn't really getting the recovery. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below, about Tszyu loses by a third round TKO to Murtazaliev. Let me know what your thoughts are, and who do you think should be next. And until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.